You play an important role in supporting Japan's forestry. Here, we will take a look at the work of the Japanese forestry and safe forestry work with examples. Please work together with your employer to ensure that you learn the correct and safe methods of work. First, let's have a quick look at the work involved in Japan's forestry. Japan's forests cover an area of around 25 million hectares. The proportion of forested land to the total land area is 70%, making Japan one of the most forested countries. Of Japan's forests, 50% are natural forests, where trees grow naturally, and the remaining 40%, which is around 10 million hectares, are planted forests, that trees have been planted. Most of these planted forests are on a sloping terrain and need to be managed appropriately by humans. The cycle of a planted forest, from tree planting to harvesting, begins with ground preparation to create a place for tree planting and then planting the saplings. After planting the trees, bush cutting is carried out for several years to ensure that the planted trees grow well without being overrun by weeds. 15 years after planting the trees, thinning is carried out to thin out the overcrowded trees. Then, when the trees have grown enough, they are felled, collected, and transported and used as timber or biomass materials. The forestry is a cyclical industry that requires many years to complete, as it involves a repeated cycle of planting, nursing, and harvesting. The details of forestry work are determined by the season. From winter to spring, ground preparation work is carried out to clear away branches, leaves, and grass from the area where the trees are to be planted. In spring, saplings are planted. In summer, the weeds around the saplings are removed. In autumn, improvement cutting is carried out to thin out poorly growing planted trees, and pruning is carried out to cut off excess branches, and so on in order to nurse high-quality trees. From autumn to winter, thinning is carried out to thin out overcrowded trees, and trees that have grown to a size which they can be used for lumber are harvested. There are certain key points to bear in mind when carrying out forestry work in each of the 4 seasons to ensure safety. We will take a look at these key points with examples. In addition, accidents that occur during forestry work in Japan often occur during tree planting, nursing, felling, and processing. These accidents can be prevented by following the established procedures and organizing the environment. In order to prevent accidents, please make sure you thoroughly understand the content of this video as the first step towards safe forestry work. In order to work safely, it is necessary to follow the rules. Please listen carefully to the instructions on how to proceed with the work and the precautions to ensure you understand how to work safely. You won't learn anything unless you listen to the explanation. Listen carefully to the explanations in order to prevent accidents. Check safety together with your colleagues. Warm-up exercises and stretching help prevent injuries. order to maintain good health on a day-to-day basis, it is important to observe regular lifestyle habits. We request that you do not stay out late or stay up late at night. Be sure to get plenty of sleep. In order to work safely, it is important to be able to determine your physical condition and report it to your superior. If you are not feeling well, do not overexert yourself. Don't be afraid to talk to someone. There are things in nature that can be harmful to your health. Do not eat them without permission. If there is something you don't understand, talk to your employer. Cleaning and organizing the workplace is the first step to safe work. There is a risk of tripping and falling in a workplace that is not organized and where materials are not put away. If the storage area is not organized, there is a risk of tripping and falling or injury from sharp objects. Put blades in a stable place where they are easy to see and attach a cover. If the tools and gears you've loaded in the back of the vehicle are not organized and tidy, they may fall out when you open the door, causing an injury. Make sure to load your items in an organized and tidy manner. The mountain trails at the workplace are unstable and can lead to accidents involving falling over due to pebbles and slippery surfaces. Please be careful of unstable footing and slopes when walking. When taking a break, if you leave the bush cutter's cutting blade facing the walking path without putting a cover on it, there is a risk of injury to passers-by, which is very dangerous. Cover the blade and place it facing the opposite direction of the walking path when taking a break. In order to carry out forestry work safely, it is important to wear the correct clothing to prevent accidents. If you don't work in the correct clothing, it can lead to unexpected accidents. Protective equipment provided for safety reasons may not be given away without permission. Untidy clothing can cause entanglement in machinery. When performing forestry work, be sure to wear long-sleeved upper garments, long trousers, gloves, and boots that fit your feet properly. Take measures in accordance with the temperature, such as wearing a jacket with a fan when the temperature is high. There are various dangers during bush cutting work. Be sure to wear protective equipment to protect yourself from danger. There are various dangers when using a chainsaw to fell or process trees. Be sure to wear protective equipment to protect yourself from danger. Be careful of dangerous creatures such as hornets, poisonous snakes, ticks, and leeches in the forest. If you are stung or bitten by a dangerous creature, immediately inform your colleagues and rush to the hospital with your employer. Be careful in the forest, as there are plants with thorns and plants that cause rashes if you touch them. If you get pricked by a dangerous plant or get a rash, discuss it with your employer. If lightning strikes, take shelter in a vehicle, building, or hollow area. It is very dangerous to go near the base of a large tree, so do not approach one. If there is a risk of trees falling over due to strong winds or heavy rain, or of a landslide, then stop what you are doing. If an injury or accident occurs, do not approach the injured person immediately. Instead, carefully assess the situation around you and make sure you will not end up being involved in the accident before approaching the injured person. After checking the condition of the injured person, notify the person in charge of the workplace. Call 119 to report the emergency and request an ambulance to be dispatched. After calling 119, also notify your employer of the details of the injury or accident. If the injured person can be moved, move them to a safe location. Make sure you have a first aid kit at your workplace and check where it is kept and what is in the first aid kit. If the injured person does not respond to being called and is not breathing, perform chest compressions. If there is bleeding, stop it by pressing the wound firmly with a clean towel. In the case of a fracture or other injury, support the fractured part so that it does not move. Fix splints on both sides of the fractured part and apply moderate pressure with bandages, etc. When transporting an injured person to a place where vehicles cannot be used, if you are transporting the person alone, carry them on your back. In the event of a hornet sting, their airway may become blocked, so do not carry the person on your back. When carrying an injured person with 2 people, carry them by holding their chest and legs. In some cases, a makeshift stretcher can be made from the surrounding wood and a jacket to carry the injured person. In forestry work, there are various tools, such as handheld blades of different sizes. A hatchet is a tool which is used to cut down small trees and cut off branches. It is dangerous to swing a hatchet in a wide arc or to swing it down in the direction of your front leg. When cutting down a tree with a hatchet, check the target of the swing and move back the leg on the side where the swing will be made. A large sickle is a tool used for bush cutting, for planted trees, and on footpaths. Bush cutting involving swinging the large sickle in an excessive motion is dangerous. When doing bush cutting work with a large sickle, pull the sickle back and forth in small movements. When carrying out ground preparation work to organize the branches, be careful of the branches bouncing back. When doing ground preparation, it is dangerous to be working when people are below you, as there is a risk of falling debris. When carrying out ground preparation work, work in a horizontal layout so that you don't end up working with people below you, and work at a distance to avoid being hit by branches that may bounce up. A planting hoe is a tool used for digging holes when planting trees and for putting the soil back in place. It is dangerous to swing the planting hoe in an excessive motion when digging holes for tree planting. Dig holes with the planting hoe in small movements. Do not carry blades with you outside of the workplace where they are used. When loading blades into a vehicle, store them in a case or bag and place them in the trunk. Do not leave blades unattended in the vehicle at work or at home. Use a bush cutter to clear away weeds to help the planted trees grow. Bush cutters have a high-speed rotating blade, so it is important to understand how to use them correctly before beginning work. When starting the engine of a bush cutter, it is very dangerous to grip the starter rope while holding it. When starting up the bush cutter engine, place it on the ground and pull the starter rope. When the cutting blade of a bush cutter hits a stump, the tip may suddenly change direction, so it is very dangerous for workers to be close together while working. Small stones may fly off when they hit the high-speed rotating blades, so the area within a 5-meter radius is a danger zone. When 2 or more people are working, they should keep a distance of at least 15 meters. If you remove the grass entangled in the blade without stopping the engine, it is dangerous because the blade will start rotating the moment the entanglement is undone. Even if it's a hassle, be sure to turn off the engine before removing the entangled grass. It is very dangerous to work on a slope facing downwards. Choose a place with as stable a footing as possible and work while keeping your posture steady by stepping firmly on the ground or other means. When transporting the bush cutter, it is dangerous to carry it on your back with the blade facing backwards without a cover. When transporting the bush cutter, attach a cover to the blade and carry it on your back so that the blade is in front of you. In order to nurture high-quality trees, use a saw to cut off excess branches. When cutting branches with a saw, it is dangerous to have your hand below the blade. When cutting branches, keep your hand above the blade. It is dangerous to carry out pruning when people are below you. When pruning, confirm that there is no one beneath you. Use a chainsaw to cut trees when carrying out improvement cutting of the trees other than planted trees, thinning out crowded trees, as well as harvesting and processing trees that can be made into timber. Since chainsaws have saw chains that rotate at high speed, it is important to understand how to use them correctly and to work with them properly. When starting the engine of a chainsaw, it is very dangerous to grip the starter rope while holding it. When starting up the chainsaw engine, place it on the ground and pull the starter rope. Grip the chainsaw firmly with your thumbs wrapped around the front and back handles. Two-hand braking, where you use your right and left hands to operate the brake on a chainsaw, is dangerous. With your right hand holding the chainsaw, lower your left hand to apply the brake. To release the brake, hold the lever with your left thumb wrapped around the handle. If the top part of the guide bar tip hits the tree, kickback occurs, causing the guide bar to spring up, which is very dangerous. Be careful not to bring the kickback zone at the top of the guide bar tip into contact with the tree when working. Carry out work in a position where you will not be injured even if a kickback occurs. When felling a tilted, thin, short tree, it is dangerous if the trunk splits, causing kickback. When felling a tilted, thin, short tree, make initial cuts before felling it. Do not fell trees if there are people located within a range of twice the height of the tree. Check that there are no people within twice the height of the tree before felling it. It is dangerous to cut a tree diagonally with a chainsaw when felling it. When felling a tree with a diameter at chest height of 20 centimeters or more, make a notch cut with a depth of at least 1/4 of the diameter of the root, and then make a felling cut at an appropriate depth. Leave a suitable width between the notch cut and the felling cut to secure the hinge. When cutting down a tree, point using the signal determined beforehand in the direction of the work and confirm each step out loud. Check the tree for anything such as branches, dead branches, or snow, and then say, "The top is clear." Check that there are no people or obstacles within a range of twice the height of the tree, and then say, "The surroundings are clear." Confirm that there are no obstacles in the direction of the planned felling, and then say, "Felling direction is clear." Check the location and route to evacuate to, and then say, "Evacuation area is clear." Be sure to point and call out when checking for safety. After confirming safety, use the preliminary, main, and finishing signals that have been decided in advance when cutting down a tree. Give the preliminary signal before making a notch cut to warn workers in the danger zone to evacuate. Give the main signal before making the felling cut. Give the finishing signal when the felling tree work has stopped and there are no more falling objects, so that other workers know that the work is finished. Before felling trees, be sure to check the route to the evacuation area and the evacuation area itself. Make sure you have an evacuation area at least 3 meters behind you in the opposite direction to which the trees will fall. Make sure you secure a safer place to go, such as behind a standing tree when evacuating. When a cut tree falls, be careful of branches that may break and fly off or fall. There are rules about what you can't do when dealing with felled trees that are leaning against other trees. Do not cut down a tree on which the hung-up tree is leaning. Do not cut other trees to try to hit and knock down hung-up trees which are leaning on other trees. Dealing with hung-up trees is very dangerous, so people with little experience in felling trees should not attempt to do it alone. When leaving the area without dealing with the hung-up tree, set up a no-entry zone by tying a string or rope in the area around the hung-up tree and contact the person in charge of the workplace. In the forestry, a lot of forestry machinery is used. Forestry machinery moves trees that have been cut down with great force, so care is needed when working nearby. Special training is required to operate forestry machinery. People who have not received special training must not operate it. When using a machine to cut down a tree, it is not allowed for the machine and the person to operate together within a range of twice of the height of the tree. When using a machine for logging or processing, it is not allowed for the machine and the person to operate together within a range of twice of the length of the machine's arm. Do not ride on the back of forestry machinery or other vehicles. Working inside the perimeter of the wire rope is dangerous, so this area is off limits. The area under wire rope suspended loads is dangerous, so this area is off limits. In a new environment, you may sometimes have problems. Do not deal with problems by yourself. Do not keep things to yourself. Talk to someone around you. In order to carry out the work safely, it is very important that everyone understands what to do and does it correctly. Please make sure you understand and master the information about forestry work introduced in this video. We hope you stay healthy and safe.